On this channel, I've made many videos talking about gaming topics ranging from just about anything at this point. And today's video is no different. This is something that it rubs me the wrong way, and I can't help but talk about this, especially as someone who lives in America. This idea of tipping every fucking thing on this entire goddamn planet. Now, to anyone who lives outside of America, I know all y'all looking at us and you're like, what is wrong with us? Because of the fact that we have everything that needs to be tipped. Oh, you're using self-checkout? Hey, do you want to tip the self-checkout that did literally nothing and you did all the work yourself? You want to go to Subway and tip the person that's making your sandwich? You want to sit there and tip the person who scanned your items at the end of at the grocery store? You want to tip the person who did literally nothing except take your order? And I'm not talking about like at a restaurant or anything. I'm just talking about at like a regular stand, like you go to order like fast food or some shit, things like that. I don't think that this is a hot take, but I think tipping is scummy, and all it is a way for companies to try and scoot around and not have to pay their employees minimum wage, or at least a decent livable wage. As someone says, it's pretty much RNG wage. That's what you have. When companies sit there and keep pushing for more and more and more of having their employees want to have to use tips as a means to fund their income, it is RNG. That's literally what you're playing your life on at that point. And that's fucked up. It shouldn't be that way. No shot should you ever have to be in fear if you're going to make enough money to make it week by week, because you're forced to sit there and get paid via tips because your employer's too much of a lazy cheap fuck that he doesn't even want to pay his people properly. That is scummy and that is trash. Now, the reason I'm making this video today is because I want to go over something that recently has capture the waves on the internet, which is I'll just read you the article. Ex-Blizzard boss suggests players should be able to tip the devs of special games. Now, I'm already just going to debunk this right now. What is the definition of a special game? There's no such thing. Everybody that makes a video game, every developer is going to think that their own game is special in some way, shape, or form, no matter what his comments and what he believes to be special games are might not be to other people. Some people might not give a fuck about these games, but then the most egregious, scummy, most predatory games that are trying to get as much money out of you as possible, those developers might think their games are special too. A special money maker, but they're special games to them. So in a tweet he made, he said, I thought about this idea for a while. As a player, since I've been diving into single player games lately, when I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the game was. At the end of the game, I've often thought, I wish I could give these folks another 10 or 20 bucks because it was worth more than my initial 70 bucks and they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. Now, as other people have said, what universe are you living in, buddy? Almost every fucking game pretty much tries to nickel and dime you, and they charge 70 bucks on top of that. Yes, there are very few exceptions to the normal realm of games that cost 70 bucks, but a majority of them, let's be real, they're all trying to nickel and dime you in some way, shape, or form, and 70 bucks is never enough. This is one of those statements where you're delusional if you actually think that that's an actual true statement. But he gives us examples. Let's read them. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, etc. I know 70 is already a lot, but it's an option at the end of the game. I wish I had at times. Some games are that special. I know most will dislike this idea. By the way, I realize we are tired of tipping and everything, but I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenario many face and give feedback on. Now, there are a lot of reasons that are wrong with the statement. It should be pretty simple, but the first reason being that no matter how much money or what you tip isn't going to go to the developers at all. It's going to go to the publishers, it's going to go to the top corporate leaders. Those are the real people who are going to actually see that money. Top of that, let's entertain this idea for a second. Let's say that you do this 10 or 20 bucks. How are you going to split that between all the actual developers? Because it's not like it's your mom and pop developer store for games like Baldur's Gate or Elden Ring or God of War. Those are massive studios. There's no shot you're going to be able to even split that evenly. This idea it's a hopeful one. In theory, it sounds like a great one in the sense of, trying to really help the developers. But the thing is, and for those that don't know why this is even a discussion in its own sense and where they're trying to kind of go with this, is because of this. If you look through here, there have been a fuckload of gaming layoffs that have happened over this year and last year, but mainly this year in particular. It's just been out the ass. It's been so many gaming layoffs. And so where I can see them going with this, they're like, hey, maybe we sit there and do we do these donations and things at the end of the game, maybe tip or something. We'll be able to start saving some of the developers' jobs and layoffs. That ain't the case, buddy. These fucking publishers, these companies make a fuckload of money. They're just being cheapskates because they overhired on COVID, and now they're trying to reduce everything because they say, oh, fuck, well, this money ain't going to last forever, in the sense of reoccurring revenue that they're happy with, because you always got to keep going up. You can never go down, so you always need more revenue. So if they're not having the same reoccurring revenue that they had when people were forced to stay home during COVID, it's kind of like, oh, fuck, all right, we can't have these developers no more. You know, that's pretty much the way it boils down to for this. It's not a matter of these companies are not making enough money or they can't afford to pay their developers more. They could. If they really wanted to, they actually could. They just don't want to. It also doesn't help when you have developers that are this fucking stupid, such as the Warner Bros. Situation, which I've already talked about in a previous video. But these motherfuckers are the ones that had a game that sold so fucking well that was just a single player game that respected your time. It was just an enjoyable experience all around that didn't have any microtransactions or anything predatory that was meant to try and take as much money out of your pocket as possible. And they're like, oh, fuck, oh my God, that was just a fluke. That game, no, sir, that we can't have that. We need to have more games like Suicide Squad. And just the fact that when Suicide Squad failed, they blamed it on the players more than anything. They're like, that wasn't really our fault. The game, they didn't really, that's not really an issue. And then the fact that because of Suicide Squad's failure, the fact that they have the audacity to double down and say, yeah, we need to keep making more shit like this is baffling to me. That is insane. The fact that you can have a thought process that fucking broken that you're like, yeah, our fucking game flopped. Let's just do it again. Okay, buddy. You keep living in that delusional universe. It's just like fucking Ubisoft, dog. Look at this bullshit. I wanted to make a video on it, but I never got around to it. But Ubisoft CEO comments on Skull and Bones' $70 price, calls it a quadruple A game. Which you might have heard that meme go around for some time now. People are fucking making jokes and shit, calling the game fucking quadruple A. This game is far from quadruple A. I forgot this game isn't on Steam charts, but this game, let me take it back. This game has had so many fucking development problems. This game was in development for so fucking long. And then when it released, ain't nobody talked about this shit. All of them clowned it. All of them called it trash. There is no universe where you think that this dog shit was actually a good game. Black Flag is a way better than this game. And that game came out pretty much a decade ago now. What universe do you live in that you think that this piece of shit is actually a fun game? I am so amazed that they can sit there and have the audacity to think and say shit like this. And here's this. It's a very big game. And we feel that people will really see how vast and complete that game is. It's a really full, triple, quadruple A game that will deliver in the long run. Spoiler alert. In this article, this was back at February 9th. It's fucking April 16th now. Yeah, this didn't age that well. Again, nobody talked about this game. Nobody gives a fuck about this game. It was dead on arrival, and nobody was hyped. Ubisoft couldn't even be bothered to really pay streamers to play this. That's how much they lack confidence in this actual game. It's a mess. But that's the thing. All these developers make dumb shit like this. They have dumbass decisions. They don't actually make logical decisions that would make them money. So I've been proven time and time again with so many games that have been popping off on Steam over the past couple months that if you just make a good game that people like and enjoy, they will pay money for it. But then you got these dumb fucks who are like, we need to make quadruple A games that have the length of 50,000 years where you can't finish it until like you sit there and spend like at least 6 months on it, and it's going to be boring, filled with a bunch of filler content. It's not going to be satisfying. That's what these developers do. And they say, or not even the developers, that's what these publishers do. Because I want to get that clear as well too, because a lot of people always make that misconception and blame the developers when in reality, it's not their fault. They're just doing what they're being told to do. They don't make the hierarchy decisions that the people at the top, the ones who get paid the big bucks, the same ones that this guy believes should sit there and have tips for because he thinks it's going to go to the developers, when in reality it's not. It's going to go to the fucking people at the top, and those are the only people that are going to be rewarded, and that shouldn't be the case. There was another situation in that article that was talking about, oh, well, it could be like Bandcamp where you sit there and the money goes directly to the people at the end. dog, these are fucking big ass corporations and studios. There are so many people involved in the process that, again, there is no way that this idea would ever make any logical sense or even work in terms of a distribution to evenly distribute it against all the actual developers on the team. And again, it's probably going to be a situation where it only goes to the people up at the top. If you really want developers to be paid better, that should be something that is taken to the actual people who run it at the top and have those people feel pressured to actually pay their developers and employees a fair wage and actually give them proper raises that justify their time and experience and everything else there. Like, I'm at this point, I'm just starting to say a bunch of words, but hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. At the end of the day, while the sentiment and the idea behind it is great, there's no universe where this would ever be done correctly or faithfully. And at the end of the day, a lot of corporations are greedy and always going to want to take the most money, especially that someone's going to get a donation or a tip of. Unless it's an actual single entity that made a game all by themselves and they have like a donation or a tip option at the end of the game, then yes, they will get all the money, and that makes sense. But for actual AAA or quadruple A studios, there's no shot. It's not going to happen, bro. But yeah, I just want to talk about this real quick because I hate tipping. I don't like anything about it. I don't mind actually supporting people who put actual effort into their games, and I actually know that my money's going to go to the people that I want it to go towards. But this is not the case. It's not going to happen with this, and it never will. Anyways, you made this far into the video. Consider giving a like, subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment below what you think. Have a great day. Yeah.